Should one condemn religion for whatever has happened? Well, this is a question that I've been seeing for a while, and honestly, if I am to think, well, I can't accept an answer to this question because the question is not that needed. See, many people want to condemn everything because condemnation means that you have found someone guilty for something, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the guilty element. See, the press nowadays, the mainstream, everything, in a sick society, everything functions by sociopathic slash narcissistic behavioral pattern. Nothing is wrong with narcissists. It's always your fault, and obviously blaming and framing others for things they haven't done. Well, we're most likely well accustomed to that. Blaming everything else is not a way towards success because it stinks and reeks of, well, victimization. See, the point is, in order to rule people, in order to create a sick society, there needs to be a lack of attention because as social beings, if you lack attention and the love that you need, especially in the childhood, you will become an emotional mess and you will believe that ignorance is your way out because ignorance is like death in a way. When you are dead, you will feel nothing from this body ever again. It's the same thing with being ignorant. You are just running from your pains, you are hiding from them, and well, you're having the impression that they're not there, so well, you have an impression that everything is good. It also, ignorance is the death of all responsibility. And when you have no responsibility, it is easy because, well, now you feel that life is untouchable. Life is simply easy peasy. It can be, so easily achieved. Everything can be done. You have theoretically all the time in the world for things that you want because you no longer have responsibilities. See, this is the path of our ancestors. Every generation does the best it can. Obviously, a lot of generations have done a lot of things, a lot of bad deeds and the such. The point is, we don't truly know history the way it functioned, the way it truly was. We have a lot of data, a lot of ideas, but they who control history also control the future. And it's also called his story, so one shouldn't become too attached to it. But the point is, every generation has done the best it could. And this is something that doesn't require any forgiveness. See, in Christianity, you have to believe in, you have to believe in the so-called God of mercy, right? God of love. But they are the one who, will judge you tremendously for every little bit of thing that you do. This is technically a birth, right? It is a thing that was birthed out of an egotistical mind seeking full control. Because if you think about it, the all-seeing eye, God that can see everything you do, even if they don't exist, other than in our imagination. See, that thing was more or less a preparation for nowadays, because you also have nowadays the all-seeing eye. Why do you think technology was created in the first place? It wasn't created for our well-being. Why do you think it's called an iPhone? It's keeping an eye on you. You can see documentaries on the internet with developers saying how much the phone can actually store information about you, your patterns, where you are going, right? Because it has routines and the such. It connects through Wi-Fi connections, even if you're not told. And all that information is being sent to different websites, wherever you go, whatever you do. And if you don't care, well, that's actually the best thing, because ultimately, see, ignorance is the best way to rule people, because whatever comes, they will simply accept it. They feel that they are hopeless. Now, religion has taken a great part in this. There have been a lot of wars, there have been a lot of crimes done in the name of gods and the such, but ultimately, each and every generation did whatever they could. They did the best that they could because they had a certain level of awareness. Now, the point is, you can't simply forgive your ancestors. See, forgiveness is something stupid because if someone does the best they can, why would you need to forgive them if they do something bad? Because if their awareness is very low, they will do things that aren't necessarily honorable, right? So why would you need to forgive other people? See, forgiveness is just another tool for control because narcissistic people always want emotional control. They always will use emotions against you. And if you do things for them, right, they always have high expectations. Now, the point is, when they have high expectations, they will always be disappointed of you, irrespective of whatever you do, how much effort you put. But the point is, they always give you that so-called key, right? If you do something else for them, you have a chance to be redeemed. So you get hooked by that, and in time you get used to it. And obviously, they will get as much out of others as needed until they no longer need those people. So the point is, forgiveness is a tool for control. You get a chance, right? You get a feeling that there's a chance for redemption in that person's eyes because if you're a bit sensitive, you don't want to disappoint people because ultimately that means disappointing you, and at the same time, it feels very horrible, right? We all do a lot of things, if not most of the things, because of the emotional feedback that we get. Now, the point is, everything in this world is done because you want that emotional feedback, right? Because you want to feel good. Now, obviously, all people do things because they want to feel good, even if some people derive, their goodness or their feeling good out of, horrible deeds and the such, but everyone with their own level of awareness. Now, religion is nothing else but a tool. See, our ancestors needed to believe in someone, to believe in something, because, well, they lacked attention just like we do. And with all the distractions of nowadays, well, it's much easier to lack the attention. See many people going outside for a walk, friends seeing one another, but everyone is stuck with their nose in a phone. And, they're not even socializing, but, well, everyone with their own level of awareness. People don't all wake up at the same time. Everyone has to experience things. Is a religion to be blamed for this? Well, blaming things is nothing else than victimization. If you look at Christianity and how many people behave towards it, the two main quotes that I saw is why me? Obviously, this is nothing else than victimization, and please God give me, right? So it is a kind of a command, expectation, right? And, well, as I call them, expectations are the antechamber of disappointments. But at the same time, requesting things from the so-called gods and expecting those means that you won't be doing anything. So, if you don't do anything, well, you won't receive anything. You see, there is a Romanian quote that says, God will give you. But, they won't put those things into your bag necessarily. Because you will receive things, but you also have to work towards those. This is one of the few quotes that I deem as wiser regarding, religion. Religion is just a tool. However we make use of it, well, you see, most people, especially the simple-minded ones, they will expect things. That's why they are always disappointed and frustrated. They expect that this so-called gods that doesn't even exist, especially in the way we imagine them, well, they expect that gods, to do things for them, but they at the same time won't do anything to improve their life. And they would do the same things again and again, expecting that, the so-called God will actually change their life. But if you do the same thing again and again and you expect different outcomes, that's a bit like madness. At the same time, if you're expecting things from God, but you're not doing anything to receive those, right? You're not putting the work to change your life. And at the same time, you're also victimizing. Well, these are many of the people that actually, praise and believe in a so-called God. Not to forget that many people have their own so-called God that never punishes them. And at the same time, it's quite funny because, when you end up believing in your own gods, right, of a religion, and you end up having twisted visions of those, Well, that's what I truly would call a case of, true madness. Because if religion says this is the universal God, right? And well, these aren't the times where you say you either believe in gods, our gods, or you die. Well, the point is, at least that has changed. But if you create different versions of gods and you believe in those, and you also believe that you are some kind of great figure in the eyes of that illusion, well, probably someone needs, a trip to the psychiatry ward. So, should religion be blamed for that? Well, basically, I wouldn't advise blaming anything. Our ancestors did whatever they knew best. That is why there is also no forgiveness. There is no need for forgiveness. You don't need to forgive the past. You just need to let it go. Because ultimately the past happened. There is nothing that one can change regarding it. And at the same time, well, you can't change the past because most likely you haven't lived most of it. And at the same time, you don't even know exactly who those people were. Sure, if they are in a direct genetical line with you, well, and through other means, even if they aren't, you are introspective enough, and with some occult powers as well, which can be achieved through introspection and the such, well, honestly, one can feel things about their past, because our history is written in the DNA that we have. So the point is, finding out things about the past is not necessary. But if you truly want it, it is there. It just needs a lot of introspection and, well, a certain level of communion with who you are. That obviously won't go well if one is ignorant. At the same time, if our ancestors lacked attention just like we did, they needed something to believe in. They didn't have the distractions we have nowadays, which in a way is also a good thing because they had time for reflection. Nowadays, people don't have much time for reflection because they're always hurrying to reach nowhere and expect the good things to come and, purchase meditations, right? And, try to manifest that which simply won't happen because, well, manifestation isn't just a thing, right? Many people believe that if they pray for something long enough, they will, change it. Our ancestors also prayed to false gods and hopes and ideas, and, well, look at how things have been. They didn't make a better society, so your manifestation won't do a better society either. Now, group meditations are a whole different thing because they emanate a very great aura, and, well, that's a group meditation. That is something that is coordinated. But people sitting around in their beds, imagining things and believing they will manifest, that's, oh well, people will wake up sooner or later. But the point is, religion is nothing else than a tool. And putting the blame on something means that, well, you don't want to acknowledge your mistakes because, well, believing in a religion or not, that is not a sin. If you embrace Christianity or any other religion, or you don't, well, that is a simple point. But one doesn't need to make a Bible out of everything. Because if you make religion greater than life, well, you will miss the importance of life. So life will simply not be important to you. And that's how you reach the level in which you will kill for your so-called religion. This is what our ancestors have done for too long. And there are still wars, not necessarily armed wars, there are still some of those as well nowadays, because we haven't evolved much. There are still people fighting for illusionary figures. Why would you fight for an illusionary feature? Well, because you're taught separation. You're taught to believe that you have this god, the other ones have that god. Well, separation is always one step from war, because in order to have a war, you need to have at least two sides. So religion isn't necessarily to be blamed. I just see it as a useless aspect. Sure, anyone can believe in whatever deity, whatever they can imagine, creation to look like, but creation doesn't need an image. It doesn't need anything. Even the Bible and other such books state about creation and everything that is physical, that it came from the non-physical. So creation is also beyond physicality. If creation is beyond physicality, why would we need to give it any shape, right? You can imagine it anyway if you want, because, well, the mind is a slave of meaning, and the mind will always want meaning because it can't understand things which are beyond meaning. Like, for example, life and creation. The mind can never comprehend those. It can create a minor sense of meaning, because obviously the mind is always soothed by meaning, right? The mind is always confused. The mind is always in pain. When you give it meaning, well, it's like you give the body painkillers, right? To kill certain pains in the body. But painkillers don't do anything. They just numb your neurons. They just numb certain parts of your body. And that's what makes you that's what makes you not feel the pain. See, that is only a cure for the effect. It's not a cure for the cause. The problem is still in your body, it's just that you're numbed down now and you can no longer feel the pain. In a way, it is good because you can concentrate on things, but self-destructive behaviors will kick in. If it no longer hurts, well, you'll simply make it hurt even more. And then you'll wonder why, after the painkiller wears off, why it hurts even further. See, there are multiple types of pains that we inflict upon ourselves. Religion never tells you that, you're the one causing the pains by reacting to things, and, well, religion is mostly used as a tool that will control you. But again, it is a tool that is being used. It is us humans that have to realize the importance of things, and that we have to use things, machines and whatever, instead of letting ourselves be used by those. Don't blame things, because blaming, well, that only leads to the idea of victimization. When you victimize, you won't achieve much, because, well, you're just gonna create even more and more pain, and you're gonna expect people to simply take it for you. You'll only live a lonely life, and, well, you'll die in loneliness, which, I assure you, it's quite a most painful experience. We are social beings, and in a world of 8 billion people, if we even are that many on this planet, well, no one should be separated. No one should be isolated. All this being said, hopefully this video was introspective. You are appreciated. Take care. The Ninja Board signing out.